Hey, I'm George from MovieWeb. How are you, Jonathan?
Hey George, how are you? I'm good.
I'm excited to be here and to talk about this one. I'm curious to start just sort of like what your history relationship with the franchise is. It goes back long, and coming into it, did you have to go back and watch a bunch, or what are your feelings in general on the Karate Kid and its
I,
legacy?
I think Karate Kid is one of those indelible cultural things that exists in the world. Anybody over 30 for sure knows wax on, wax off, knows who Mr. Miyagi is. So I'd grown up with those movies. You know, the first movie came out the year I was born, so I didn't live it theatrically. But I definitively knew all of it as a legacy. Subsequently, the Cobra Kai show was something that I'd watched and loved way before the script came through to me. And actually, the most interesting piece for me was when I received the script for this movie. It was doing something a little bit different without breaking the kind of the core legacy of how the movie plays out. And I just saw a great opportunity to do some really cool martial arts within that.
Yeah, I ask you about the martial arts. When you're working
Mhm.
with Jackie Chan, who's one
Mhm.
of the greatest ever in a lot of ways,
Right.
on a couple fronts, and he's there in it, and he's doing some of it with you. Like, tell me about that collaboration and like, how you work with him and what he brings and all of that.
I mean, Jackie is everything you imagine he is and more. He is an incredible, legendary actor, and his ability to perform with the martial arts is something that I've never, ever witnessed before. You know, the first day he arrived on set, we were doing one particular fight sequence, the kitchen fight sequence, and he would be able to pick different items up from all around the room and swing them. No, 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 this one I need bigger. This goes behind my head. This does all of this. And it was just like, how is he seeing it all go together? And he made some changes. Then he's just like, throw Ben in there. He hit Ben over the back of the head. Okay, do it again. Boom. Like there was a lot of that going on. And it was just so majestic to see the comedy, the props, but also the heart and the action and knowing where the camera was, knowing whether to take it from this side or from this side. Like it was just so the directing of the fights, his ability to, it was just incredible to see.
Yeah, he's like Buster Keaton to me. And
100%.
and that's what I think of watching those scenes. And that's kind of the joy of this is that energy coming to Karate Kid, even though it's
Right.
been there before. Can you talk about bringing the, because you're melding, obviously there's the metaphor, there's the
Mm-hmm.
two branches, one tree. But in a
Right.
cinematic sense, there's also this like, the way the original 80s film and Ralph Macchio brings some of that legacy into it. You got to marry these styles of movie, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a
Right.
little bit about that?
Well, I think it's really interesting that you kind of note it as two styles because I think that's true because I think the original Karate Kid movies are earnest, long form, super sort of YA drama, like
Yeah.
very heavy. Um, and the Karate Kid 2 is much more of an action movie in the 80s vein. Then I think by the time you get to Cobra Kai, we're really enjoying the Saturday morning television vibes, the long story, the way all of that works. And so when we got the chance to kind of piece it all together, we were like, well, what's the best thing about both of those? Like, how can we play with the sort of the YA adjacent story, but also lead by saying it the franchise has lived on television for a long time. What can we do to elevate it? And that's down to the fights, to the performance, to the sets, to the way it looks, to the way it feels, and to be honest, the way it's cut, the tone of the approach of how that works theatrically without breaking that kind of really simple spine of what people who enjoy the Karate Kid movies enjoy. And I think it's, there's three audiences. There's
Yeah.
the Karate Kid fans, there's the Cobra Kai fans, of which some of those are the same. And then there's the general audience that are like, cool, I just want to go watch some awesome Jackie Chan stuff within the movie. So we
Yeah.
were playing with all three of those pieces to try and work it together. And I think successfully for the most part.
It's a tough alchemy, right? Because of all those
Very.
different types of things you're combining and blending, even within scenes, within the way characters interact.
Right.
I want to ask you about some of the way you edited music to
Mm-hmm.
cuts. It's kind of like you play with this diegetic, non-diegetic sound thing a
Right.
little bit,
Right.
frequently like building to a beat, sometimes for comedy, some. and it's unique. And sometimes you do like some split screeny stuff. Like you did some
Mhm.
interesting things that I didn't see coming, I would say. Like,
Well, and you know, it's like it's part of the process of certainly from my work coming from television to theatrical. So even though my shows were mostly feature length, you know, I feel like End and I'm Not Okay with This, they're maybe less than 3 hours long in their
mm,
entirety. But I think it's a very, very different audience. So when we started to put the movie together and we started to show it to audiences, we were like, okay, some great story here, but how do we move through the things to get to the things? And something that was really adamant for me was I really want to enjoy that finale. I want that finale to feel like it's the end of Lord of the Rings. We're on a mountain in the rain and we're having a big fight. And so something that was really interesting was like utilizing the music and the montage and the training and the sports movie to buy us the ability to have a 12-minute sequence of just martial arts with very little dialogue. And so that was something that as we started to craft that, it became in there with the music because I absolutely was adamant that because I really believe that movies should have score and television can have tracks. And
yeah,
so it's a really interesting thing that we have with this movie where a lot of the things that sound like tracks are actually bespoke score.
yeah,
So we kind of work with this idea of like, well, what's the juxtaposition of the original Conti, the original orchestral music, and
yeah.
how does that juxtapose with like what we're doing in the last two reels of the movie, where we're kind of building all of this up and giving it that energy for sitting in the theater. You're like, whoa, what the hell's going on? Boom, and then we're at the finale of the movie. So that was really important for me, just to really throw the audience around to like, let's go, let's sit quietly now and watch this epic finale.
You're talking about Conti and about tracks versus music, but there's some great training montages in this movie. We get a bunch of them, which you can
Right.
tell like a Karate Kid movie deserves as many good training montages as possible. These are awesome. For me, they're the highlight, honestly. And I think that you did different things each time. Did you
Right.
talk about the progression and playing with it? You got you got Lee training Joshua Jackson's character, then you got like
Mhm.
so you're playing with who's training who a lot, and I
Right.
want to hear you talk about that.
Well, look, that's part of the enjoyment of the challenge of bringing all these pieces together. There's no doubt that we were working with the, as you said earlier, an interesting alchemy to try and solve it. My end goal is audience enjoyment. So
Mm,
how do I solve all of those pieces and make sure the audience are like, whoa, this is so fun? Like that is the number one feeling for me. So I think it was there's humor. If there's anything Jackie Chan taught me, it's the humor throughout all of the sequences. And those training montages are part of the humor of the martial arts in the movie. So for me, it was like, especially when Lee is training Victor, it's
yeah,
like you want to enjoy the fact that Lee, like this guy is a big bruiser who could knock him out, but there's like some funny things that he's making him do. But actually, he's not teaching him kicks and punches. He's teaching
yeah,
him an approach. And he's teaching him an approach that his brother taught him, you know, earlier on in his life. And then by the time you get to what Jackie is teaching him, mostly Jackie's bringing the idea of like, you know, focus. He's bringing that from the 2010 movie, but he's also bringing the idea of pushing the kid around. No, you got to get better. You got to get better.
yeah,
Show me what you can do. Show the audience what you can do. It's kind of all baked
yeah.
into that feeling of what Jackie brings. So I love a good montage. I think the audience loves a good training montage, and the music and the way that all folded in. I think, coupled with the fight sequences themselves, I hope is a
Yeah.
very enjoyable ride.
I'm I'm running. It's been really fun talking to you. I'm running out of time. I want to ask though, finally, of course, you're probably going to hear it a lot. You leave us with an amazing end scene, cameo, kind of, um, probably whetting everyone's appetite for more. What do you feel like about happens next? It's a massive genre. It feels like this is opening the door to so much more possibility, you know?
Mhm.
What are your thoughts
I
on that?
I would love to know, is Mr. Han gonna train anybody else? That would be awesome.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I mean, yes, that's a good one. I'd like to see more of it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, George.